We're joined now on MASN All Access by Alex Fast of Pitcher List, who is the savant when it comes to all things pitchers and all things sabermetrics. Alex, thanks so much for hopping on.
Wow, that is some lofty expectations to bestow upon me. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. I like to look at pitching. Let's just say that. I like to look at pitching. How about that?
Our resident expert, I guess you could say as well. I'm going to keep piling on the compliments. Let's talk about Bruce Zimmermann, because he is off to a terrific start to the 2022 season. Looks like a completely different pitcher. Now, from the outside, we can notice that he's throwing his fastball a lot less, and he's throwing his changeup a lot more. Can you tell us why that is and what appears to be different about Zimmermann from last year to this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, overall, you're completely right. The fastball percentage has decreased a little bit and the changeup has increased a little bit. So let's dig in why. Why is that happening? Well, the top-down view is that the changeup is a completely different pitch, right? When you peek under the hood, the pitch is very different in terms of movement profile. It's got an 1.5 inches more vertical and horizontal movement. It's less spin efficient. And what's kind of interesting about that is when you take a look at all these different numbers, you want to try and figure out, okay, well then what's happening to lead to those changes, right? Is the release point different? No, the release point on the changeup is exactly the same. Is the extension a little bit different? No, the extension is exactly the same. So what's happening? In all likelihood, I can't say for certainty, but I'm 99.9% positive, we probably have a new changeup grip for Bruce Zimmermann. So it's funny because for all those nerdy sabermetricians out there, we can get into the spin efficiency and the tilt is a little bit different, but the TLDR, the top-down view of that is he's probably got a new grip and it's leading to a lot of success, getting a lot more swings and misses on the pitch, inducing a lot more weak contact. If anything, I wish he would throw it even more. That pitch is just really great for him right now.
Well, the trend is it's continuing to go upwards, and another trend that started in his last start, the addition of a sinker, which we had not yet seen him throw. What could the addition of a sinker add to Bruce Zimmermann's repertoire?
Yeah, that's actually where I get really, really excited. So Savant right now is kind of updating each day. Baseball Savant is updating each day because there's a lot of new information that we're learning about pitching, and particular, Bruce Zimmermann and specific pitchers. And one thing that they added was that sinker. A lot of people are curious if Bruce Zimmermann can be sustainable with this start, right? And honestly, I'm not sure if he can, if he's leaning on that four-seamer so much, because that four-seamer is still getting hit a lot. He throws it in the zone very frequently, which can be good for called strikes, but it gets hit pretty hard. It's got like a WOBA north of 550, I believe. So the sinker is a new weapon for him that I personally think can play off the new movement on that changeup a little bit better. He has shown that he can have good command over the course of a year. It hasn't been fantastic to start this year, but if he can command that sinker for strikes as well as he can with that four-seamer, it might be able to let him set up the changeup a little bit more. It might be able to give him a fastball that gives him a little bit more success. It could be a really big step for him. So I'm excited to see, A, if that sinker sticks, and B, if he starts to increase its usage as he gets more comfortable with it over the course of the season.
And his breaking ball, curveball, is still less than 20%, but it feels like he's throwing that a little bit more in 2022. Is that something that you've noticed? And is that something that could help take the pressure off of that fastball, which is below average?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we live in a great era of pitching where you don't have to necessarily be fastball first. You don't need to be throwing it 50% of the time. If you wanted to throw it 35 to 40% of the time, either the four-seamer or the sinker, and then up the usage of the changeup, up the usage of either breaking pitch, I think that's great. The breaking pitches were really what he was graded on highest, at least according to Fangraphs, as he was coming up through the Orioles system, right? And I think what he's doing with that slider, which again, underneath the hood, there's a lot of different things going on in terms of tilt and spin access. He seems to be shifting the approach or what he's doing with that pitch a little bit and kind of tinkering with it. If he can find a right combination with either of those breaking pitches, introduce that heater a little bit more, specifically the sinker, and stick with that changeup, then yeah, this could be something that, we're looking at a really legitimate starter for the O's.
We saw what happened when John Means leaned into his excellent changeup. Maybe something similar is in the works for Bruce Zimmermann, another outstanding lefty in the Orioles system. Alex Fast of Pitcher List, thanks so much for hopping on. A new weapon in your arsenal, that mustache. It looks terrific. Definitely keep it.
Thanks so much. You say weapon, my wife says hideous disgrace. So it's all subjective, right?